So little Johnny, he asked his teacher a question. He says, Miss, would you punish me for something I didn't do? The teacher says, of course not, little Johnny. Little Johnny says, good, because I didn't do my homework. My brother David loved little Johnny jokes. I didn't like them. I thought little Johnny jokes were a bit too crass. Like Dennis the Menace. I didn't like Dennis the Menace either. Didn't like the cartoons, didn't like the movies. But my brother David, he loved those little Johnny jokes. My brother was kind of mischievous. And the reason I was thinking about that is because I went to go see my brother a few months ago for a very special event that was being held in his honor. So, one of the things I also remember was growing up, I had to be a little mischievous as well. So one day, I dug a hole in the backyard, and I filled it with water. And I got an idea. I used to watch my mom plant flowers, and she would put peat moss around it. And when she watered it, the peat moss would get wet, but some of it would float. So I grabbed some of that peat moss, put it in the water. It does, it floats. So then I got the idea, I'll get some dry dirt, I'll throw the peat moss. And I did. And lo and behold, it looked just like the ground. So now I needed a victim. I started calling on my brother David. David, come here! You gotta see this! So David rushes out, and of course I'm in the line of where the hole is in the ground. Now, why is it that instinct sort of like kicks in and he stopped before he gets into the hole? He's not looking down, and I'm not looking down to give it away. But he just stops. It's like, what is it? So then I had to be more dramatic. Oh my God! There it is right there! So then all of a sudden he starts coming and he falls in. It was funny at the time. I had to deal with the parents, but I did help clean it up. Anyway, my brother had not ever heard me play my flute. I got this Native American flute about a year ago. And I specifically got it tuned to the frequency of the universe at 432 hertz, our spiritual game, as opposed to the 440 hertz that most music is created and produced now, which disrupts our spiritual game. Well, I got to the event, and I could see David telling his little Johnny jokes. I made my way through a lot of the relatives and friends. My brother David was an entrepreneur. He was very well known in the community. He was almost like a big brother to a lot of boys growing up. So I helped him. His jokes were funny, but not as funny as Robin Williams. Everybody knows that Robin Williams is very funny, but Robin Williams suffered from a very devastating, debilitating dementia-type disease called Lewy bodies. If you don't know what Lewy bodies is, it hijacks the mind. For us, everything is okay, but for that person, they do not have confidence living because every single day they are living a nightmare. So, I made my way up to where my brother was. I held my flute in one hand, and all of a sudden, the entire event became silent. And then I reached out, and I touched my brother lying in that wooden, cold casket. The result of sharing the same Lewy body disease that Robin Williams had. And then I began to play. filled with uncontrollable sobs. The salty tears flowed. But something happened at that moment. Something familiar. And it happened to me. I started liking little Johnny jokes. But I could still hear my brother say them when I said them. So the teacher wrote on the board, "I ain't had no fun in months." She looked at the class and says, "How do I correct this sentence?" Little Johnny raises his